how do you now, in this moment, how do you define success?
I don't care about success. I only care to serve God.
So is success serving God?
There is no success. There's only living for God or living for yourself.
So you don't think
all these terms, all these labels, all these words that people have attributed to entrepreneur, money, none of this matters.
Interesting. So you wouldn't define anything as being successful. What I mean by that question is, you're right. Like the entrepreneur might be like, yeah, success is bringing in X amount of money a year. Or another person might say, well, success is having a family with 4 kids. Or success is owning the car collection or the watch collection or many things. So you wouldn't even define success as just knowing God.
I am mesmerized by God's love, his desire to save me. I am nothing.
So in this state you're in right now, where you said God's like, have faith. And now you're just being still. And God speaks, he speaks. If he doesn't, he doesn't. You're being still. What do you call this season right now for you? Is it a lifetime? Is it a season? Explain that to me.
Who knows? Not for me to think about. All I do is act now to honor him. Tomorrow will take care of itself.
So how's your perspective of money changed now from before you viewed money to after you viewed money?
I used to be a scavenger. I used to scavenge for money. I used to hoard money. And then I realized that the Messiah had no money, that he walked with sandals, and then he went and spent time with the tax collector and the prostitute. And that if God does not need anything, who am I to live a long life? Who am I to desire things? I have no desire.
Do you steward things that God's given you? Do you steward finances?
I have people that manage things.
So you can just focus on him.
So that I can rest in him.
Okay.
And be still.
So I want to ask about that, because there's an interesting.
I see money as a resource. Money does not define me. When you read Matthew and Jesus is speaking on the mount, he says that rain falls on the just and the unjust. Money is everywhere. It's where is your heart?
Yeah.
So when God says give, I give. When God says make, I make. It's not about money, it's about following him. If I die today with $10 million in the bank account, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
If I die with 0, it doesn't mean anything. It's just energy. Money's like a key, right? It's like a key, and it lets you unlock doors. People want to walk through a door and they're frustrated, so they need money to unlock the door.
Mm.
But if you're just chilling, you don't need to unlock doors. God opens the doors.
Yeah.
So why do I need money if I have God?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's one of the things I really want to ask you about, the practicality and discipline side of things.
And this comes from a guy that's worth millions of dollars. So somebody on the other side of the screen is like, who is this? Why I have to go to my job tomorrow and I have to work because I have to pay my bills. But I look at you and I say, all of these bills are self-imposed. Your rent is self-imposed. Your bills are self-imposed. Yeah, but what about your car bill is self-imposed? Your mortgage is self-imposed. These are all things that you have chosen, that you want. So now you have to keep up. So you're keeping up with your own delusion. So it's a rat race. Whereas Adam and Eve, when they communed with God in the garden, God gave them everything that they needed.
So let me ask you about desires and maybe hobbies per se, because that was something that I've always wondered. Let's say someone has a watch collection per se, right? Or let me give you this example. So I had a coworker when I was 18. I used to work on boats in Florida, and he was double my age. He was in his mid-30s, and he did not want anything to do with God. And I would talk to him about Jesus constantly. Sweet man, but deep down didn't want anything to do with Jesus. And he would always tell me, Bryce, if Jesus gives me a bunch of money, then I'll believe in him. But he was a bad steward of his money he already had, so he obviously never got any money, and he would look at me and blame God for not having money. Well, part of me would look at the outward of what he's doing with his money. He would split our tips at lunchtime and let me keep everything we had past lunch just because he wanted to go get a scratch off across the street. Whereas I would look at him and go, someone who didn't have a lot of money in his bank account, that guy obviously had a money problem. Whereas like there's people that could have loads of money in their bank account and that stuff doesn't have a grip on their heart.
They didn't have a money problem. They had a problem of greed.
So money is not inherently sinful.
Money is just money. Money is just energy. It's not sinful. If you have bills, go take care of your family. If you have to go work, God made work. God made everything, right? Like God told Adam, God told Eve, like, hey, you have to go work. Working is part of our design. But it's like, do you work to make money? Do you work for yourself, or do you work as unto the Lord?
Okay.
Do you go in, because we're speaking to an audience that is striving to be like him. So when you go to work and you're thinking about making a paycheck, are you thinking about covering your bills? Are you living in anxiety, or are you doing things to honor him?
Yeah.
The paycheck is just a means for you to buy food. But what happens if the grocery store shuts down in the next pandemic? Where are you going to get your food? What, you're going to be dependent on the system of the beast? Go read Revelations. It's upon us.
In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus sends out the disciples and not just the 12. He sends out the 72. And he looks at them and he says, bring no knapsack, bring no extra tunic, don't bring an extra pair of shoes. Go and learn to trust me. So they go and they be sent out and he gives them the Holy Spirit. He breathes the Holy Spirit into their bodies and they go out and they come back and they return. Then at the end of the Gospel of Luke, I think in Luke chapter 22 or 23, he's like, hey, do you remember that time that I told you not to bring a knapsack, not to bring a tunic, not to bring an extra pair of shoes? You were learning to trust me while I was here, while I was in the flesh with you on earth. And they were like, yeah. He says, okay, now that I'm ascending into heaven, I'm not going to leave you alone. I'll send you the helper. But he's like, bring an extra knapsack, bring an extra tunic, bring an extra thing. So I want to ask you how do you balance the faith, the trusting in God to be the provider, to bring provision, whatever that means as a blanket statement, and also, for lack of better terms, like using common sense, being a good steward, things like that?
Common sense comes from God. Most people are living in a delusion. Most people are they look at the dollar bill and it says, in God we trust. They don't trust in God, they trust in the money. When it has an Illuminati sign on it, they don't see that they're slaves. They see it, but they don't see it because their heart is far from God. We don't need money, we need him. If everybody understood this, we wouldn't be in the system that we're in. When a man builds a business, does he build it to steal or does he build it to honor God? God is the one that provides. God is the one that gives wealth, not you running schemes and you running funnels and you running clickbait in order to get people to convert into customers.
Yeah.
So as God has been changing my life, mind you, I've made a lot of money, but my money does not belong to me. None of it. God could drop me dead now. And then I would have to be accountable for my heart and my actions to him.
Yeah.
So if God blesses me and God gives me something, to whom much is given, what? Much is required. So if God gives me something, then may I be found faithful in stewarding it for his glory.
Yeah.
So if God blesses you and God makes your business successful, not you make it successful. Nebuchadnezzar said, look at all the things that my mighty hands have done. And then God in one instant turned him into a beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that he would be humbled. So God humbled me. And he kept me in the wilderness like a beast, running around in loops like many of these Christians, running around in loops, living for themselves, taking an espresso shot of Jesus on Sunday, then going back into Babylon and worshiping themselves.
Wow. Yeah, that story from Daniel is powerful on Nebuchadnezzar, because like Daniel warns him.
Daniel was a slave in exile. And because in closed chambers and behind closed doors, he honored God, God excelled him and God made him known amongst the nations. God put him in the palace to take care of everybody. Not for him. He didn't care about what he wore. He didn't care about making money. He cared about being legit before God's eyes.
Mm.
That's all I care about now.
I think that's so fascinating.